I'm Emmanuel and welcome to my next playthrough where I will be playing Scythe. I will be playing the solo scenario and I will be playing as the white team over here, Anna and Wojtek. And I'll be playing against the red team here, which is, let me see over here the name, which is Olga and Changa. That's the Soviet Union, and this is the Republic of Polania. So let's get right to it. I'm not going to explain how to play solo rules. I've played a couple of games solo, one on easy level, and which I've won, and one on normal level, which I lost. So I'm hoping to win this one as well. I'll try to keep these episodes to about 15 minutes or thereabouts. So let's go. We get to start, but before we start, let's have a quick look at just a little overview. I'm not going to explain all of the rules, but in the solo rules, you play with the Automa deck. The Automa deck, I'll be reading the cards about how to read those cards during the playthrough. And all of the startup here is done for solo playthrough. I do start with 3 cards and 2 on the power track. And I also start with 2 objectives. And my objectives are divide and conquer, have 0 factory cards, and control at least 2 territories adjacent to the factory at the end of your turn. And finally, roll up your sleeves with the common man, have $2 or less, at least 4 workers, and at least 7 popularity. So I think the easier one is to have $2 or less and at least 4 workers. Sorry, the easier one is to have 0 factory cards and control 2 territories adjacent to the factory. That's probably the one I'm going to go with there. I do have 3 combat cards, a 3 and 2 2s. And our special ability is that when we do encounters over here, we get to pick 2 out of, we may pick 2 out of the 3 options. So let's get going. Oh, the last thing over here is the bonus placement tiles is place your buildings next to lakes with the appropriate scoring over here. 6 to 7 lakes is 9 points. 1 lake is 2 points. We're going to be counting the number of lakes we build our buildings next to. So let's get going right away with turn 1. I'm going to go ahead and place my token over here, and I'm going to get to move 2 units. I'm going to be moving this unit over here and this unit over there. Now over to the Automa player, we draw the card. Now hopefully I will be able to, the camera will focus properly on this. And let's go ahead and read what it says here, which starts with a little cross symbol over here, which means if we're playing easy level, which we are not. And then the next one over here says it's a battle. If the Automa has a power of 6, it has a power of 3, so we skip over that. And then it says a battle for a worker, so let's go look at that one over there. Here we go. Here is the card. I find that I need to use these cards to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So select the closest Automa, the Automa combat unit closest to the base, which would be this one over here. And we're looking for in the neighborhood of any unit, in the neighborhood of the Automa's base containing enemy workers. There are no enemy workers next to the owner's, next to the base. Therefore, we can't do this one. Let's go right over here to move a worker. Here we go. Move worker. So select a worker closest to the Automa base, and then if there's a tie in reading order, which would mean this one over here. And then it goes where the valid hexes we're moving to in the neighborhood of any Automa unit. So what I'm going to do, just for the few couple turns until we get into the swing of things, is I'm going to mark valid hexes with these little cubes. Now, we are at the beginning over here where it says that the Automa cannot cross rivers yet. So this unit over here, the valid squares, it says neighborhood of any Automa unit. So The neighborhood of this unit is these 3 squares over here. The neighboring of this unit is the same 3 squares. So that's about it. It says no enemy unit. There are no enemy units and no Automa worker other than the one selected. So this one is invalid because there's a worker. This one is invalid because of the worker. Next, pick up the selected worker and move it to a valid hex. That is the only hex over here that has a cube. So that is where it moves. As I get going through the game, I won't be using cubes because you'll kind of get the gist of it. There are tiebreakers here, closest to the factory and then in reading order. So we'll continue down the card over here. The Automa is going to receive $2. Let's give him $2 over here. Where did I put his money? He does start with $5. Did I give him $5? I did not give him $5, but the Automa worker starts with $5. So let me give him $5 and $2 extra over here. The Automa never actually spends money. So those are just points. And then this is for us. If we unlocked the enlistment over here for the power, we would get a power, and that is the end of the Automa's turn. Back over to us. Let me discard this over here. For our next turn, let's go ahead and produce. We're going to go over here and produce. We're going to produce on 2 hexes. First hex we're going to produce on is on this one over here and get an extra worker. The next one we're going to produce on is this one over here and we're going to get a grain. Bottom action, we don't have any wood over here, so that is it for our turn. Back over to the Automa. Oh, I forgot to mention, on the previous card over here, there was an X on the star. If there was a star, the little token would move forward to the next square, but there is not. So let's see the next one. This one does have that star, so you'll see how that works. So this is factory or objective. So let's go over here. Encounter or factory. I said objective, but it's encounter. And it says here, select the Automa character. That's the character we're going to go for. In the neighborhood of any Automa unit. Again, the neighborhood, because we can't cross over rivers for the moment, this is the neighborhood that is valid right now. Or the factory, well, the factory is out of range, and the hex that has an encounter token. Well, that's the only hex with an encounter token, so these all go away. And then it says pick up the character, move it to the valid hex, and that has no enemy unit, no Automa mech, and tiebreaker is closest to the factory, which it is, and in reading order if there is multiple ties. Reading order being from left to right, top to bottom. Place character on the destination hex and pick up any token, if any. And if we're on the factory space, we get to remove one of the factory tokens. Next, we get to place a worker. And the Automa also gets a combat card. They're up to 3 combat cards. For us, we don't have any enlistment here, so we don't get any reward, but with the star does move the token forward 1 space over here. Now it is back to us. Let's see what we want to do. If we produce again, yeah, I think we want to produce one more time. So let's go back over here to move units. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, let's go over here to move units. We get to move 2 units. This time I'm going to be only moving 1. I'm only moving this guy over here, and we're going to get an encounter. So let me get the top encounter card. We'll put it over here. Bottom action. We don't have any oil, so our turn is done, but let's go ahead and look at this encounter, remembering that we can go ahead and pick 2 out of the 3 options. So shoot a wild boar for lunch, for a lunch of bacon. Gain 2 food and 1 popularity. Pay $2 to gain any 3 resources, which is herd the boars away from town. Pay 2 food to get any 3 resources. Steer the boars into the helpless village. Pay 2 popularity to gain 1 worker and 3 wood. Well, let's do the first one. The first one is we're going to get 2 food. I'll put it right over here. And 1 popularity, which we go up to a popularity of 5. And for the second one, we're going to pay $2. Now, I forgot to give myself my starting money. We're supposed to start with 7, so I'm down to $5. And gain 3 resources. So let's go ahead and gain, if we get wood, we can build a building. We'd be 1 short. If I get oil, now the question is, what's the order that I play these in? If I get oil, I'd be able to do the bottom action here. Do I receive the encounter right away? What's the timing for this? So let me have a quick look at the rules very quickly. It says right here, for an encounter right after the move and before any other action, if your character is on a territory with an encounter at the end of movement and combat, discard the token and draw an encounter card, and then you must choose one of the options of you are able to take or pay. And any benefits there are placed on that territory. So let's make a little correction here. We gain these 3 food over here. So we will be able to get that on the bottom over here. So the pay $2 for any 3 resources. We're gonna go ahead and collect 2 oil. And we are going to collect, let's see now. Let's do 1 steel as well. That's a good clarification. So this is gone. I'll put it off camera here. And then we continue with the bottom action. I'm going to go ahead and pay 2 oil to do the bottom action, which is we gain $1. And we also do an upgrade. What do I want to do for my upgrade? Let's go ahead and be able to move 3 units and make it cheaper to build mechs. That is the goal. Now over to the Automa player. The Automa player. Now, just in case you're wondering, what's the bottom of the card for? Well, when we get over here to this level 1, we actually are going to flip the card over to the level 2 side here, and we're going to be reading the red side. But for now, we're only reading the green side. So we get to place a worker. Now, it's very, very simple. Without reading through the whole thing over here, this is the worker that's going to be impacted and moved, and he's going to move to a valid space that has no other worker, so it'll be this space over there. They're going to get another worker, and they're going to get a gold, which is a point. And we don't get this one, we don't have any reward, and they have the star, so they move forward to the 3rd space over here. Back over to us. We're going to go ahead and produce 1 more time. So we are going to produce 1 wheat over here and 2 workers over here. The bottom requires wood. We don't have any wood, so our turn is done. Over to the Automa. They're going to move a mech. They don't have any mechs, therefore they're going to move a farmer. The move worker closest to the base, which would be this one, closest to the Automa's base in reading order, the neighborhood of any Automa, no enemy unit, no worker. All of the spaces are taken. We can't cross the river yet. And so this would be the valid unit. He stays there. He doesn't move because they don't double up on the workers on their tiles. Next, they are going to receive a mech. Now, the Automa does not receive any of the bonuses there, so I'm just going to be grabbing them sequentially. And they are also receiving 2 power. No bonuses for us, and their star moves over 1. The next time they have a star, they will be able to move to a location where they can cross rivers. Right now, they can't cross rivers yet. Back over to us. I think we're going to get an enlistment bonus right now. So let's go ahead here and pay 1 coin to gain 2 power. We want to keep behind the Automa as much as possible. And then we're going to do the bottom is to pay 3 food, which we have right over here. Pay 3 food to get 3 money. Make sure I got a 3 money over here. And we also get to enlist. So what do we want to enlist? Do we want power? Do we want more cards? Do we want popularity? I think I will go with the popularity. We'll do that there, and we will gain 2 popularity, crossing us over into the next tier of points. And that is it for us. We're going to have to figure out a way to get more steel so we can build our first mech, so we can possibly cross the river. So it looks like we might trade in the future, buy some steel, and then use that steel right away. We'll see how that works shortly, but hey, back to the Automa. The Automa, they get to move a mech. They have a mech, so let's go ahead and find the Move a Mech card. This is a non-combat move mech card. And it says non-attacking move mech. Select the Automa mech closest to the base, which is the one in the base. Valid hexes. Neighborhood of any combat unit, they still can't cross the river. So no combat unit, which would be, this is a combat unit, so it'll be one of these 2 squares over here. And then the valid hex, shortest distance from an enemy. Tiebreaker is closest to the factory. They're both the same distance from the factory. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They're both the same distance from my combat unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Therefore, it's in reading order, top to bottom, left to right. And that is, or left to right, top to bottom, and this is where he moves. Back over here, this one says if he is the red player, which he is, he will get a worker, then he will get another worker as well as a gold. So 2 more workers, 1, 2, as well as a coin. There we go. No bonuses for me over there, but they do get to move the star, and the Automa now is able to cross the river. Back over to us. Well, I said we'd do it, so let's go ahead and do it. We're going to pay 1 coin, pay with a 3 and get 2 back. And we're going to be able to buy 2 resources. So the 2 resources I want to buy is 2 steel. Put them over here. And then on the bottom, we can pay 3 steel to build a mech. So let's pay the 3 steel. And which mech do we want to build? So let's see what we can do over here with our mechs. This first mech allows us to river walk, and we can walk into cities or steel, metal locations, mines. So we could cross over into here if we got that one. We also get the ability to move to and from one lake to any other lake. So we can basically teleport around the map. And then finally over here, in combat, do not lose popularity when forcing opponents' workers to retreat. That is a really good bonus to have as well, to limit the Automa's area of control. And finally, get an extra hex movement. And I think we are going to go pick this mech right over here. And as it says over here, we have to build the mech where we have workers. So let's go right ahead and build the mech right here. We will finish with the Automa action, and that will be it for today's playthrough. You'll have to come back tomorrow for the continuation. So let's see what we do now that we can cross the river with the Automa, what they're going to do. Are they this faction? No, they are not this faction over here. So the next one is move to the factory or to an encounter. So let's again see what the card says. Select the Automa character, this one right over here, in the neighborhood of any Automa unit. So let's use the squares again. So the Automa units, now they don't distinguish water spaces from land spaces. So the neighborhood of this is basically all of these spaces here. And they're looking for the factory, where none of these are the factory, or a hex with an encounter token. That is the only one with an encounter token. So that's the only valid hex, and it says pick up the character, put it on a valid hex. We get to remove this over here. That after the encounter, pay 1 coin over to the Automa, and also move him forward 1 on the track over here. And that is the end of the Automa turn. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's playthrough. Join me tomorrow for the continuation of this playthrough of Scythe solo version. I always appreciate a thumbs up on these videos, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.